Hello everybody, Drifty here from Driftwood Gaming, and this is a custom animations tips and tricks video. It should be very short, but when I'm making my custom animations, most of the time I'll go through this process to do my custom animations. I'll look at a pattern and I look at the number of frames. So if I'm looking for like a slice attack or some sort of melee attack, I'll usually go with one of the claw or slash or even hit animations, and I typically don't use the first one. I'll take one of, even if it doesn't have any element, I'll take like the hit fire or something. Let's go ahead and go with the claw thunder, and I'll copy it, and then I'll go down to the bottom and I'll change the maximum and I'll paste it down there. Then I'll usually change the claw animation to something else, and this is where you'll have most of the fun, is like just seeing, using the patterns. If you change the image, what it looks like. So if we go like that, it looks completely different. Then we can change this second animation, and this is why I choose the LM attack ones, because they're already programmed to have two different images. So when you change both of the images, you can have more varied effects. So that one's a little bit different. And some of them look really silly because obviously they weren't programmed to have those images, but you can get some crazy effects. And I generally will change the hues and the sound effects, and not all of them will even use the same frames. So you might change it and it'll look like it's done nothing because it's using blank images in those frames. So once you've changed both the images, changed the hues on them and everything, you can go to your sound effects and flash timings and change the sound effects on those. So we can take attack 2 and make that attack 3, maybe change the pitch on it. When it's calling for a flash or something, you can change the color to reflect whatever skill you're doing and the intensity. And let's make that maybe like a wind or arrow or something. Change this one to that. And you're going to just be spending most of your time playing around with it till you get the effect that you kind of wanted. I kind of like how that looks. And there we go. We have a custom animation. We can call that Storm Strike or whatever. And a lot of the times I'll find inspiration for skills based off the animation for the skills. So maybe I'll go to my skills and make a skill because I know I want to use that animation for something. So then I would make my Storm Strike or something and then give it that animation. But let me show you a trick you can do with animations. It's called tweening. So if you want to make like a custom animation without like copy pasting anything, you can do that as well. So the first thing you're going to want to do is decide what images you want to use. So let's pick this one and make it look like that, I suppose. And then that gives us these frames to play with. So what you can do is select how long of an animation you want it to be. You generally don't want it to be too long because you got to imagine the players are going to have to sit through these animations over and over and over if you put them on frequently used skills. Now on the skills you may only be using as like limit breaks, take 100 TP or something, then you can make them 30 plus frames. But otherwise you want to stick to about 10 to 20 frames most of the time. So let's start off with something small. Let's do 12 frames. So we'll go ahead, right click, insert new, and we can move this around anywhere. But here's a trick you can do. If you want to center an image, just go to the X, hit 0, go to the Y, hit 0, and then hit OK. It's going to put it right in the middle. If you want it to go from the bottom, you can select feet on the position. It'll start from the bottom. Or you can make it on the head. Or what you can do, if you want it to be like an AoE attack and you don't want an animation to play for every copy of an enemy, you can just do screen, and this is going to play it in the center of the screen instead of on the center of the enemy. So let's just do a screen one real quick. So what we're going to do is basically we put our image in from the way it looks 100%, right off the top on frame 1. Let's go to frame 12. We'll put that image in as well. But this time we're going to center it as well, but we're going to scale it up. So scaling is going to change the size of it. So let's say 400. So we're multiplying the size by 4. Opacity is going to see how clear it is. So if you have opacity of 0, it's going to be completely invisible. You won't see it at all. So unless you want it to disappear completely, you usually wouldn't go below like 50 opacity or 25 opacity. So we'll start, the first one was 255 opacity, which means it's like solid. But if you want the image to be overriding the other images and not blending together, then you would just go do normal, and that'll be like, this image is going to look like this image, and it's not going to like blend layers with different images. So maybe you have like a sword strike with like sparkles in the background, but you don't want the sparkles to be on top of the blade. Then you can make the blade normal, and then the sparkles will be additive. I like using additive most of the time. In VXAce and previous versions, you had subtraction on the blend mode, which makes it look dark, and it has like an additive effect, but it makes it darker instead of brighter. And I like that, and I'm kind of bummed that they didn't include the subtract blend mode. But we'll go with 400 times the scale, and we'll do 100 opacity. So it's going to make it somewhat see-through. What mirror will do is make the image reverse around, but since this is a circle, mirror will do nothing, so it won't matter if we do that. Rotation will have the image turn to the side. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to set that one to that. So now we have one frame of this and one frame of that. And if we play it, you're going to have two flashes basically. This is the first flash and then the last flash. But if we do tweening, you can select the number of frames you want to tween from and to, and then you can select what cells you want it to be using. And the cells are the numbers image. So this is cell number 1, and this is also cell number 1. So what we can do is tween these, and then you can select what you want to tween. What tween is going to do is it's going to make up all of those images in between. So it's going to create an image that takes the first frame and the last frame and makes them blend together, creating those frames. So I'll just show it to you. So we've tweened all the images. Now we've only added one on the first frame and one on the 12th frame. But if you look at it, now we have all of the frames in between. So you don't have to worry about like placing an image and then making sure it's in the right spot and then making it bigger and moving it around and all that stuff. You can easily place an image in the first place you want it to be and the last place you want it to be, and then tween the data. Now we've got that glow effect. So that'll be our first what do you call it, cell. But let's do another one. Let's go ahead and go with this thing. So we'll input it anywhere because it doesn't matter, because we're going to center it by just putting 0 on the X and Y. And we're on the first frame here, so we're going to put it in the center right there. And then what we're going to do on, let's make it 3, so we'll go 4, 8, and 12. So on the 4th frame, we're going to add that same image, and we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. And then we're going to set the opacity to 200, and we're going to scale it to 200. And then what we're going to, oh, we forgot to center it, so we'll center it. And now we're going to go to 8. We're going to do the same thing, except we're going to change some numbers. Now we're going to go 300, and we're going to go 150 opacity. So we're making it bigger and more see-through. We're also going to center it. We're going to change the rotation to 180. And then we're going to go to the 12th frame. So we've got 4 different images, 270 on this one. And we'll go 100 opacity, and we'll go 300 on the scale. And we will also center it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tween it, and basically we're taking all of the cells and all the frames again with all of the data. So now if we look at the animation, we've got like this rotating image. That looks kind of cool. Let's add some more though. Let's go with this one over here. Now what we're going to do with this one is we're going to offset it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is center the x-axis, but I'm going to take the y-axis with a negative 30. We'll go negative 30. Then we're going to put this at 100, and this is our first frame, so we're going to keep it the way the image looks. So it's just a little bit higher. But what else? I forgot one thing I wanted to do. I actually wanted to scale this one down. So we'll start at 100 and we'll scale it down. So let's go to frame 4. Let's put in the same image. We're going to scale this one down to 75%. We're going to keep our x-axis 0, but we're going to continue that offset. So we did 30 frames, right? So now we're going to just take another chunk of that 30. We're going to do 60 this time. We're going to change the opacity to 200, and the rotation on this will be 90. So now from here to here, I mean, it's still only an image here and an image here because we haven't tweened it yet. But let's go to the 8th one, or 8th frame. We're going to take this to negative 90 now. Negative 90 and 0. And then we're going to scale this one to 300%. We're going to go 150 opacity, and we're going to do a 180 rotation. And then we're going to go to the 12th frame, edit this, 0 and 120. Negative 120, that is. So negative is going to go higher on the y-axis, and because you're subtracting the frames. We're going to go 300%. 1, 2, 3. I think this would be 400%. Then we're going to go 270. We're going to go 100 opacity and have a look at that. But we need to tween it so that it'll put all those images on the 2, the 3, the 5, the 6, the 7, and so forth. So wait, let's go back to, well, actually it doesn't matter what frame we're on when we tween because we're selecting the frames right here. So we'll tween that. Now let's look at our image. So now it looks like we have another thing that's rising. It's getting bigger and it's rising. But I think what I wanted to do, I did that wrong. So this one is on the 8th one. So this was 100%. This one was 75%. This one I kind of wanted to make, instead of 200, I wanted to make it 50% scale. So it's going to get smaller. And then on this one, we're going to make it make this one 50%. So let's tween that again and see what happens. And a lot of the times when you make a mistake, so it seems to have made it so small that you can't really notice it. We'll get rid of that frame that I accidentally added. So let's scale this up to 150. What I was saying is sometimes when you make a mistake scaling or something, you might get an effect that you weren't even expecting to get, and it might look better than your original idea that you had intended. So kind of embrace your mistakes and turn your bugs into features. So I kind of, it's subtle, you can't really notice it, but there is that frame right here that's going to make it look different. So instead of dwelling on that, let's add another frame on the first one. And we're basically going to repeat the process, except we're going to use the mirror function on this one. So actually, let's, instead of this animation, let's do another animation. So we have two images here. We can add something else, some other effect that's going to happen. Let's find something. I kind of like this one. Let's change the color of it a little bit. That'll be cool. So to find your second image, it'll just be applied right at the end of the first image. Let's take this one. We're going to center this one. Basically, that's all we're doing with the first frame. We're going to center it. On the 4th frame, we're going to center it and increase the scale, increase the opacity. On the 8th frame, we're going to center, increase the scale. I think your cap is like 500% and it won't go too much past that. And on the 12th frame, we're going to add the same thing, center it, we'll do 400% and then 100 opacity or 75 opacity. And then we're going to tween it. So let's look at that now. So now you've got this star shimmering glow with some rotating things. Now let's take, say, this one on the first frame, and let's do well, if we mirror it, it's just going to change the way from the beginning. So we'll start without a mirror. We're going to center it at 100%. On the 4th frame, what we're going to do is center it, and we'll keep it centered because we're going to do a rotation. So we're going to increase the scale, reduce the opacity, and do a 90% rotation. On the 8th frame, let's do something interesting here. Let's rotate at 180 here. We'll center this, and we'll scale it at 300%, 150 opacity, with a mirror effect. And then on the 12th one, what we're going to do is we're going to make it super small again. We're going to scale it down to 50%. We're going to keep the opacity full. So now it's going to scale back to looking like it's, and we're going to scale this to 270 with the mirror effect. So if we tween this, we look at it, you can't really tell too much because there's so much going on. We'll scale this at 200. But we're just stacking layers. Now if you look really closely, you can see the little things spinning in the middle. Okay, but they get kind of small. I think let's tween it again. Let's try that. There it is. So you can see those little things spinning. Now let's add something else like this. We're going to start this really small, 25. And this one's going to start with 50 opacity. Or, you know what, let's reverse our pattern. Let's start it super huge and almost invisible, centered. And then on the 4th frame, we're going to add it. Let's center it, rotate it, scale it down, and then give it more opacity. Was the first one 100? It was 50. Okay, so this one will be 100. Then we'll do this one at 150. So you could really sink a lot of time into your animations if you do them this way. I typically don't do so many custom animations this way. We'll scale this one at 180 and we'll give it 175 opacity. We're going to add this last one here. We're going to center it. We're going to give it, we started really large and we're going smaller, so we're going to scale it to 50%. We're going to give it full opacity here. We can mirror it if we want to. And rotate this one. It says 0, 90, 180, 270. Additive. And we could even set this one to normal just so it stands out more. See how it doesn't like blend into the background. It's kind of really dark. So what we'll do is tween this final image and play that. And you can see the green thing, since it's normal, it's tweened to it sticks out more, so it looks like the image is coming towards the camera and then back away from the camera. I don't know, that was my perspective anyway. That looks pretty neat. It's interesting. Let's give it some sound effects. So we'll go over here to the first frame and we'll do like a charge ups kind of sound of. Maybe at the end. We'll do something like that at the end. So what I'm going to do on the 11th frame, I'm going to play this one. And we're also going to flash the screen like a green-blue or something like that. With not super intensity, but when you flash the screen with lots of high intensity, sometimes it's abrasive to the eyes. So when I do screen flashes, I have a tendency of dropping the intensity down a bit, and then flash on the target is usually really high. So we'll go with that. That'll be on frame 11. But I do want like some sort of charge or like power up sound effect. So let's do something like that on the beginning. put something in between there that'll flash on the target. We'll do like a blue-green flash on the target with pretty high intensity. And this will be like our magic attack. Excuse me, magic attack kind of. That might work. Yeah, I kind of like that. Cut that, paste that. But I kind of want to do an edit to this first frame. We're going to do this on the... Might move it around. Yeah, I kind of like that. So the last part of it, I usually wait to the end to name it. Try to figure out what it would be called. Sometimes that's the hardest part, just coming up with a name. Those look pretty neat though. Let's see. We'll call it or a blast. Yeah, that's fine. And there we go. We've made a completely custom animation, and that's a screen. I would actually, since it does like a target attack, I kind of want to take it off of the screen and put it into the center. So now, if you were to do an AoE version of this, putting this on a skill, it would play this little flash thing on each enemy. So it looks like they're being attacked by that green thing in the middle. So yeah. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you like this sort of content. Thank you guys for being awesome. And if you have a suggestion or a special request, put it in the comments below. I read all my comments, even if I don't respond to every single one of them. You guys are important to me. Thank you so much again for watching, and we will see you in the next tutorial.